For the past 15 years, I've had the privilege of reporting on this astonishing country and our world at a time of lightning-fast change. I've interviewed everyone from Bill Clinton to Barack Obama, from Tim Geithner to Angelina Jolie. That was the time I discovered that every man in the office suddenly wanted to help with my show. 20 minutes after a hijacked plane crashed into the side of the Pentagon, I was there, interviewing soldiers who were still visibly shaking from the experience. Those attacks produced a seismic shift in this country and sent ripples right around the world. I think it's no stretch to say that 2 wars, a spurt of anti-American sentiment, the election of Barack Obama, today's economic crisis, even the surge in China are, to some measure, all linked back to that fateful day. And we have watched it all in real time. I'm here as your host for this conference as a journalist. It is my job to ask the questions that you'd like answered. I think that is the single biggest challenge for America right now, and that's how to stay number one in the face of global competition and these changes that are going on at home. Let me give you a couple of numbers that show you the magnitude of what America is facing right now. In 2003, IBM had 6,000 employees in India and 135,000 here in America. IBM today has 110,000 employees in India. That is more than the number it has in the United States. GE, the world's largest manufacturer, has 5 R&D centers around the world. Only one of them is here in America. And of course, when we look at some of the entitlement issues, the situation is even more bleak. America spends far more on healthcare than any other country in the world. 17% of your GDP, compared to France's 11%, and that's the next big spender. But America only ranks 37th in the world in terms of the quality of its care. That puts you 1 place behind Costa Rica and 1 place above Cuba. Now, I don't think Americans want to be spending that much money for that poorer quality of care. And the costs, of course, as we all know, of healthcare are rising very fast. It'll be, by the end of the century, you'll be spending more than half of your GDP on healthcare. That's unsustainable. America has to find a way to address healthcare costs. In fact, the president and senior Republicans will tell you, America doesn't really have a deficit problem. What you have is a healthcare problem. Get healthcare spending under control, and you're halfway there to solving the battle. China. It is a real challenge for America. A decade ago, the United States accounted for 1/3 of the global economy. It's now less than a quarter, and it's going to fall to 1/6 by 2020, when China becomes the world's biggest economy. In the first global education study of its kind, conducted last year, Chinese students from Shanghai were compared to other international students. They'd never compared Chinese students before. They came out number 1 in maths, in writing, and in science. American students came in at 17th. We're looking at 10 years of very real hardship in Europe. I had a long conversation with Christine Lagarde recently. I was following her around. I made a half-hour documentary on her. And I was following her on various planes, and she is clearly thinking that even if we manage to keep the euro together, the IMF's reckoning is that we are looking at a decade, really, of pain in Europe. And that means 40% unemployment amongst young people in Spain. These are real hardships that Europeans are going through. Even in Greece, where the Germans are not satisfied that the Greeks are moving fast enough on cutting spending, we still have teachers having their jobs cut, firemen having their jobs cut, pensions being slashed. People are really hurting in Greece. And it's easy, I think, for the outside world to say those Greeks, they lived too hard, they lived, too expensively in the past, they didn't pay their taxes, they spent far too much. But that doesn't discount the fact that the Greek population at the moment, and it's nearly always the kind of middle class and lower middle class, are the ones that are actually paying the price for the government's previous successes. So, I think we are, if you had to put your money somewhere, I would put it on the euro staying together, but Europe is not going to be a vibrant economic market.